This is my video to the Australian anti-Islamic activist who has come to Islam. His name was Shermon Burgess. Now, a lot of people who have been opposing Islam end up coming to Islam. What is the actual deal? Why is this the case? Is it just because it's the fashion, or is it because it's a truth? I would say the latter. It is the truth. But I would like to find out a bit more because he is an Australian anti-Islamic activist. And quite frankly, we had in a Holland one, I remember he came to Islam and he was an activist as well. And a lot of people have just come to Islam. You know, these, who knows, in the future, maybe Tommy Robinson may come to Islam. Allah knows best. But the reality is, let's see if we can learn something from this. Okay, so first of all, let's get straight into it. Australian anti-Islamic activist Sherman Burgess becomes the latest far-right figure to convert to Islam. Across the world, there's a trend of far-right figures, many of them prominent Islamophobes converting to Islam to counter rising wokeness. And this is sounds like it's the writer's opinion. He's saying it's simply because they're converting to counter rising wokeness. This article does seem like it's called crikey.com. It's from crikey.com, so I'm not sure whether it's well, at least it's not a salesman type of talk in regards to trying to say that Islam is the truth or anything. It's more secular, as you would say. So we can get maybe some type of non-bias thoughts from here, but then again, you won't be too many non-biased because it will be opposing Islam from my perspective. But let's have a listen, okay? So, one of Australia's most notorious anti-Islam activists and former head of far-right group United Patriots Front has converted to Islam, joining a trend of prominent right-wing figures who've embraced their religion for its conservative stance towards masculinity, gender roles, and the da-da-da-da-da. I don't want to say them words because it can be disparaging and you could get in trouble for it. Community. Sherman Burgess became a national figure during the 2010s for his involvement in now defunct far-right nationalist groups United Patriots Front, Reclaim Australia, and the Australian Defence League, so he was a complete far-right. Notorious for his role in the 2050 anti-Islamic protest that centered on the construction of a mosque in Bendigo, Burgess was instrumental in organizing dozens of protests alongside neo-Nazi Blair Cottrell and Neil Erikson. At its height, his social media page, The Great Aussie Patriot, would share racist, inflammatory content to tens of thousands of followers. Half a decade on, Burgess' personal Facebook account is now adorned with a colour photo of a Palestinian flag overlaid with the Shahada, and the features posts praising an Islamic prayer mural in the regional town of Jindabyne. Yep, that's his Facebook page, and apparently it seems as though it's very Islamic. That is for sure. Burgess confirmed to Crikey that he and other former anti-Islamic activists had taken their Shahada, an Arabic term for an Islamic oath, had converted to the religion, and had been welcomed by his local mosque. The Muslim community is so kind and amazing. If you need help, they are there, he said. Well, mashallah, that's great to hear for him. Burgess said he'd backflipped on his beliefs, once saying that multiculturalism has failed. Islam is not compatible with our way of life. After witnessing the strength of Australia's freedom, the anti-vaccine, anti-government, conspiracy-fueled multiculturalism activism that emerged out of the COVID-19 pandemic, Its protest attracted a diverse crowd of different ethnic, cultural, and religious communities united by their opposition to pandemic health measures. Burgess, meeting with freedom movement leader Yusra Rose, was instrumental in providing him a clearer outlook towards Islam. I think that is this lady over here. I don't want to get the photo up there too much. Yusra Rose with Burgess. So she's speaking on Islam. I think she is a white revert. I think maybe. Let me have a look. Bear with me. Just checking Yusra Rose. Who is Yusra Rose? I'm just trying to see whether they've been objective or what. Um, she's a Muslim icon from Egypt, so it's just a celebrity. Nobody, in my opinion, well, nothing hugely influential, I would say. But speaking on his Facebook page in December last year, Burgess said, "Going back to 2015-16, you would not have seen me stand by side with a Muslim fighting for the same cause. Not in a million years, but now things have changed. Now I stand side by side with Muslims to fight against the Zionist and Freemason oppressors who are ruling over us." I do agree with the Zionist and Freemason oppressors thing. That is happening quite a bit. Burgess said that former UPF members attacked him online when they found out about his conversion. Obviously, that would happen. Many of them were heavy booze drinking alcoholics and degenerates, he said. "I like the health aspect of Islam, how they train hard and refrain from alcohol and drugs." I agree with that, and that is, alhamdulillah, very, very good. Islam as a reaction against wokeism. This is the next heading. Let's see. The wokeism. The former activist's conversion is part of a global trend of this seems like it's his own opinion he's added in this, the person who wrote the article. Okay, so it's nothing to do with Burgess at the moment. Let's see. The former activist's conversion is a part of a global trend of prominent right-wing figures courting Muslim fan bases, sometimes by converting to Islam. That's what people are alluding to, that they might be coming to Islam because he's become he's got so many Muslim supporters now. Maybe not. I don't. You have to look at it. I don't know. It's very difficult. I don't think it's an easy thing to come into Islam. I'll tell you that for sure. I don't know how people think that it's going to be an easy thing. In the eyes of a new generation of conservatives, changing societal expectations around gender norms, masculinity, and the da 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 da, rights have superseded asylum seekers, Islamic terrorism, and Sharia law as a single greatest threat to Western values. That's what he's saying. The intersection of something phobia, something phobia, misogyny between former adversaries has led to an unlikely allyship between the far right and conservative Muslims, particularly with young men. I don't know that if that's the case. Most religions changed their value system and turned on their own beliefs in order to please the modern world, Burgess told Crikey. Muslim prayer mural of town of Jindabyne is a beautiful piece of art. Allahu Akbar, that's what Sherman Valhalla Burgess said. So in general, I mean, he's assuming that that's the case. I don't think it's to do with that. I mean, you wouldn't come to Islam thinking it's not the truth. I don't see how that is the case. Now we were on to the second part. I think this guy's just trying to make a, like get corroborative evidence towards his thinking in regards to these guys that just come into Islam because it's kind of aligning simply just mainly with the values. I don't think it's to do with that. I think they're looking at the big picture and they can see some problems which are happening. Anyway, Andrew Tate, the self-proclaimed misogynist, he self-proclaimed misogynist. I don't think he's ever said that. At the center of something trafficking allegations in Romania, if I say it's allegations, you said, because he hasn't been charged of this, is perhaps the most high-profile recent convert to Islam. Tate, who considers himself conservative, opposes the community and promotes archaic gender ideas like the ownership of women. I think you are misquoting him in that regard. If you actually watch his video, that's not what he was alluding to. He was alluding to that if someone gives him responsibility, then he's in charge. If he's supposedly given responsibility. No, I do have to say that myself. In my regard, I would say that there are some things he has been a bit too much in regards to there are many things which I would say I wouldn't agree with, but the things I do agree with obviously is Islam. But the whole point of ownership of women, that's not the case when it comes with Islam. You're just basically trying to and the whole something trafficking implication that you're trying to put on is kind of wrong. Since his conversion, Tate has alluded to supporting some Sharia laws. What some Sharia laws? There's no such thing as Sharia law. We only have Quran and Sunnah. There's no Sharia law. Such a statement in which he claimed to be collecting bricks to stone his partner if she ever cheated. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't think he's ever said that. And Islamically, that is not the case. You're just basically you're prejudging Islam. You really are, my friend, completely. Tate told Piers Morgan that he believed Islam was the last true religion on earth, and later declared it was the cure to degeneracy. These figures position the appeal of Islam as a reaction to progressive changes in some parts of modern Christianity. I don't think it's really to do with that. I think in general, Christianity is not the truth. If you look at a lot of the garbage coming out of the Christian preachers now in America, who are trans, this is apparently what Burgess has said, who now in America, who are something, and Christian preachers with something flags on the church, and all this insanity, I think that Christianity has lost its way, Tate said on his podcast. He did definitely, I do think he did say that, yeah. Another popular creator who has spoken about converting to Islam is live streamer and something influencer Sneeko, who has more than 559,000 followers on Instagram. Sneeko praised the religion for its conservative values. On February 24, Sneeko tweeted, "Islam is the strongest force resisting wokeness." Before posting a photo from Dubai where he appeared in Islamic robes alongside the caption "Allahu Akbar." What's wrong with that? The way they kind of he's portraying this article is very negative. Although he's doing it for hits. He's got the title in a positive light, but the article is very passive aggressive for sure. Similar sentiments were posted in a far right social media influencer and Pizzagate promoter Mike Cernovich. Previously, he had criticized the religion. The problem with Islam is not just the extremists, it's mainstream. It's the mainstream. It's the fact that so many Muslims around the world support Sharia law, which is fundamentally incompatible with Western values. Our law, there's no such thing as Sharia law because Sharia is the actual law. Sharia actually means law, so it's a law. Is that what you're saying? You don't know what you're talking about, really. It does sound like. More recently, Cernovich has suggested that the modern moderated form of Islam is probably the West's only hope. God forbid. Self-proclaimed anti-woke journalist Samira Khan echoed this belief when she tweeted, "At the end of the day, the greatest weapon we have against this disgusting woke filth is Islam." Well, that's her opinion, and I don't blame her to say whatever she's thinking. I don't think there's um, if people want to disagree, they're allowed to disagree. Obviously, I'm Muslim, therefore I don't agree with what um, a lot of the things which are going on. Other members of the far right, such as self-proclaimed theocratic fascist Matt Walsh and commentators Candace Owens and Jordan Peterson, have been capitalizing on their newfound popularity amongst the Muslim community. I do agree. It is becoming a bit of a trend in this regard, isn't it? Clips from Walsh's anti-something documentary, "What is a Woman?", subtitled in Arabic, have been gaining traction among the young Muslim men on social media. Really? Despite the fact that Walsh was condemned in Islam. I have not even watched that at all. I don't even want to be honest with you. In Europe, several prominent Islamophobic politicians went on to convert to Islam, such as far-right Dutch politician Geert Wilders. Yeah, that's the guy I know about. Former right-hand man Joram van Klaveren, who converted in 2012 after studying the Quran for an anti-Islam book he intended to publish. Arthur Wagner, a leading party official for the far right, the German party Alternative for Germany, converted to Islam in the same year, even as his party claims Islam does not belong in Germany. In France, Maxime Butti, a local councillor on the far right party Front National, converted to Islam before being suspended from the party. These examples represent a trend amongst the far right to diversify by embracing conservative sentiment in migrant communities. With the global culture war now squarely focused on its issues of gender roles, sexuality, and something community, popular misogynistic far right figures are latching onto Islam as the strongest ideological framework to fight their battles against the modern world. I will say, is that it? Okay, well, that seems to be it. So, I mean, look, the way they're trying to portray this article is like, if I truthfully be honest, the way they're trying to portray this article, his conversion is like, oh, he's just doing it for views first of all, and then they're saying, oh, you know what, they're just against the woke era. Now the thing is like you're saying if they're against the woke era, now aren't you against Islam? That's the whole point. If you're against Islam, then it's just a bit crazy, to be honest with you. If you really think about it, it's very crazy. You say one thing, then you do another, and quite frankly, this should not be the case. So, for example, it's supposed to be freedom of speech, but at the end of the day, it's not freedom of speech because, quite frankly, you're opposed Islam because it goes against your idea, your beliefs of wokeness. Okay, we don't agree with it, but we're not doing anything against it, against your beliefs. You want to do what you want to do, you can do that. From an Islamic point of view, we don't agree with it, and we won't agree with it, and we will continue to do what we want to do. If you want to do what you want to do, you can do what you want to do. We can live in harmony just like that. That's the whole end of the story. But what it is because we have a view of we don't agree with what you class as freedom, you want to shut us down. That's what it seems. You want to shut the Muslims down. You want to shut each person down. And that in itself is wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. And quite frankly, shame on you guys for thinking that and trying to attempt to do that. And so, so much for the bloody freedom of, speech in regards to what you want to say, how you want to say it. And if you don't agree with it, then, you don't. At the end of the day, if we don't agree with wokeness, we don't agree with it. Does that mean you have to, like stop us from believing what we want to believe? No. At the same time, if you want to believe wokeness is good and this is the way forward, that's fine. You want to believe it, you believe it, but we won't agree with it. And that's the end of a conversation. But no, that is not the case which is happening nowadays. It's actually the opposite. It's where wokeness is like, no, um, if you're against wokeness, that's it. You're against us, so now we need to stop you. And that's what's actually happening. That's what it seems like is happening to Andrew Tate at the moment. He's not really opposed. He's just saying, I don't agree with this type of stuff, and we're not tolerant about it, and we don't agree with it, and we're not gonna, we're not gonna stand for it. We don't gonna stand for it. That's who we are. We're not gonna change who we are. But but would I say it's like opposing what people believe in? No, we're not forcing anyone. There's no compulsion in religion. Just remember that in the Quran it states there is no compulsion in religion. So yeah, that's my 2 cents for the day. Let me just find out which verse it is. Compulsion in religion. Surah Al-Baqarah 256, chapter 2, 256. There is no compulsion in religion. So at the end of the day, if you don't want to believe what we want to believe, that's your choice. And the latter as well. I mean, the opposite, vice versa. It goes both ways. If we don't want to believe what you want to believe, it's your choice. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, that's it from me. Have a good day. Bye.